A day in the life of a program manager. Have you ever wondered what it means to be a program manager? A program manager is someone who manages multiple interrelated projects. Now, that individual might be managing some of the projects in the program, but in a lot of instances, there are other project managers managing those projects and they report into the program. Here's a day in the life of a program manager based on my job as a program manager for a divestiture endeavor from one Fortune 500 into another. 8 to 8:30, a review. You typically get in the morning and take a look at what is pending. You might have an idea of what you had from the night before that is critical, or perhaps you just walk into a fire that needs to be put out. Whatever the case, you should have some sort of review to prioritize your tasks for the day. Between 8:30 and 9:30, there could be a meeting with HR. I was actually an HR project manager, doubling as the program manager, and HR always had stuff to discuss. You got to remember that in a divestiture, there's a lot of movement, people moving from one organization into another, some totally abandoning ship. So there was always something to talk about. 9:30 to 10:30, coordinate with finance. Finance were always somewhere on the horizon. There were a lot of records that needed to be handled, managed, and things that needed to be archived. 10:30 to 11, there could have been a break. Sometimes the breaks were not as clear cut. Sometimes it all bled into the day and we would find ourselves in working sessions having lunch. 11 to 12, meeting with the engineering team and facilities for project handover. You got to understand that in a divestiture, there are a lot of assets, and these assets could be transferred from one entity to another. Lots of legal stuff involved, lots of logistics. On day one, the question was always, how do we cut over from one organization's IT systems to the other without failure, without disappointment? 12 to 1, there could be lunch. On some days, it all bled together. 1 to 2, update the program plan and overall timeline. This was big. I was constantly updating the program plan because we had all of these moving parts across other departments that needed to be streamlined. And honestly, as a program manager, if you think that you're going to have a bunch of resources at your fingertips, people who do all the scheduling and so on, think again. That was not the case in my world as a program manager. I had to do a lot of the scheduling of the program myself. Resources were pretty scarce. 2 to 3 o'clock, we had these ad hoc meetings, and it wasn't always 2 to 3, but it's a typical day in the life of where we would meet with lawyers and executives. We would make sure that the deal was going well. We would report in whatever we had found. And we had an overarching risk strategy, which was if there's anything that can derail this deal, you need to communicate it to the lawyers, to senior management, the legal team as quickly as possible. So we had a lot of those meetings. 3 to 3:30, there could have been a break. A lot of times one was so saturated that I just had to go out for a little walk, get some fresh air and come back in. 3:30 to 4:30, coordinate efforts with other business unit project managers. We had these meetings. You got to remember, it got to a crescendo where we had been working and working and working, and then the final 2 or 3 weeks, we were meeting so frequently with all of the departments to ensure that they had all their ducks in a row and nothing was going to throw the deal off. 4:30 to 5, there could have been some urgent emails to address and communications. I remember one instance in which there was critical communication to send out, and HR for some reason thought Phil's going to send it out because he's the project manager. And Phil thought HR is going to send it out because this is people's sensitive information. It's not my place to send it. Needless to say, the information went out the day after, a little bit too late. These things happen. It's important that when you're working with any individual on a program, make sure as much as possible to have a RACI chart or some sort of RAM that shows the responsibilities, the accountabilities, who is consultative and who is merely informative. 5 to 5:30, prepare status report for stakeholders. We had a lot of status reporting going on, but it was at a very high level. Senior management wasn't interested in the minutia. They just wanted to know, is it done? Are there problems? Do you need help removing any blockers? If not, let's just move on. And then between 5:36, actually sometimes going into 7, there was always the plan for the next day's tasks and meetings. And I remember on many an occasion actually leaving the facility there in Tempe, Arizona, pretty late in the evening because we're trying to brainstorm for what to do, how to counteract issues, and just carrying out the work that happens on a divestiture. I hope you found this to be helpful. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you've got any questions about program management, first of all, check out my extensive 1 hour plus video about program management right here on the channel and send in any other questions. Thank you, my friends. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.